Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Post Up live here on Boot Crew Media. I'm your host, David Grubb. Glad you could join me. Of course, New Orleans Pelicans will be playing the Dallas Mavericks on the second night of a back-to-back tonight. We'll get into that real quick. Let's just talk about that game real quick. I'm gonna just say I think the Pelicans actually have a decent chance of winning this game. I think the Mavericks, who are 2-5 right now, are the kind of team that the Pelicans can have success against. And I say that certainly because they're injured. I mean, their entire front court basically, Derik Lively gone, Anthony Davis gone. You have PJ Washington, but he's not a tall player. He's 6'8". The front court is not particularly great. Cooper Flag has not played great, even though and they've got him out of position at point guard. And certainly Jason Kidd, I think, is doing the same things with Cooper Flag that he did with Giannis Antetokounmpo during Giannis's early part of his career, where Kidd played him at the point guard a lot too. And ultimately, that was not the goal. Was to not play Giannis at point guard, but certainly it helped in his development as far as his ability to see the floor. But right now, Cooper Flag is struggling. Klay Thompson having the worst season of his career. They're not shooting the ball well. They don't have a lot of size. This is a team that the Pelicans can do well against. Does that mean the Pelicans are good? No. And as it says right there in the topic, it's smoke and mirrors, because what you saw last night was not a triumph by the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah, they won the game, but that wasn't a triumph. Like, if you have to do what they did in order to win, which is shut down a bad team for the final 3 minutes. I don't think the Hornets scored a bucket. The Pelicans went on 11-0 stretch down the final 3 minutes against a team that, again, is not a good team, was missing multiple players, just like you were, and you struggled against them at home. They still shot the ball for most of the night. They were shooting the ball very well until the end. Took some bad shots, got some offensive fouls, and had turnovers. But the Pelicans didn't take advantage of turnovers for most of the night. They did down the stretch. They hit their shots at a higher rate than normal. Trey Murphy, we'll get into those. Trey Murphy and Jose Alvarado and Herb Jones all hitting their shots all night long. But what at 1-6 changes how you feel about this team fundamentally? And I don't think anything does. I think you still look at this roster and you see a flawed team. I think you still see a team built on two separate timelines. I think you still see a team that's roster is ill-fitting and players who have already checked out. I want to look at something from last night, because when we talk about one of the biggest things that was a criticism, and I've criticized, I tweeted about it, and y'all have certainly tweeted about it and things like that. But Willie Green's rotations, right? The way he plays his players and how he utilizes them. And I want to show you something. Okay, we're going to talk about this first. This is last night. Okay, let me get out of this. Hold on. Sorry. Oops. Last night, the Pelicans. You see in these lineups right here, the Pelicans had no Messi, no Williamson. So that's what the black lines represent. But what you do have is those red bars. The green bars are who did well last night, who had a positive net rating, and the red bars are who had the negative net ratings in two-man lineups. So which guys paired together did not work, right? So clearly you see all the reserves. Clearly you see all the reserves. And as you look at them, what you saw was that the Pelicans front court has not played well all season. The Pelicans front court last night, again, for the most part, though, was really good. Carlo Makovich, you see in his lineups, green all across the board. You take Derek Queen last night, green all across the board. The bench as a whole, green all across the board. Sadiq Bey, the only people he did not play well with, Kevon Looney and Jeremiah Fears. The starters all in red, right? The starters were terrible last night. Outside of Trey and Herb shooting the ball well as a whole, that group was terrible. So everybody, pretty much the starters as a group, that five-man group, all red. Herb Jones played well with the bench. Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, who for some reason keeps inexplicably showing up as a good player as far as like the on-off ratings and the net. He keeps showing up, but he can't make a shot to save his life. So you look at these guys. Herb Jones played well with the bench. Trey Murphy played well with the bench. Kevon Looney played well with nobody. Jordan Poole played well with the bench. And the rest of the guys are bench guys besides Jeremiah Fears, who we will talk about in a minute as well. But what I want to go to is that's last night. Now let's look at the impact on the season as a whole. Okay. When you look at the season as a whole, these are how bad it is for the New Orleans Pelicans. Remember, the green is good, the yellow means they're break even, and the red shows you how many of these two-man combinations are bad. So if you're Herb Jones, who have you played well against over the first over the first 7 games? Herb has been good with Jose. He's been good with Jordan Hawkins. He's been good with Yves Missi, and he's been good with Carlo Makovich. When you look at a guy like Jose Alvarado, he's been good with Herb Jones, and then you see a bunch of Reds. So when you look at this, Willie Green and the way he utilizes his lineups, these two-man groups, he is consistently putting together groups that do not work. He is consistently putting people on the floor who should not be playing together. And one of the biggest ones in this group is the tandem of Jeremiah Fears and Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole and Jeremiah Fears should never play together because they are one of the worst defensive backcourts in the entire NBA. They should never be playing on the court at the same time. But they do over and over again. Over and over again, Willie Green continues to put them together. Over the last 3 games, things have improved slightly for the New Orleans Pelicans. They played a little bit better because they've only taken one 30-point blowout in the last 3 games and not 2 as they did in the previous 4. But when you look at the top 3 players on this team in net rating, again, shows you how bad Willie Green's lineups have been. Top 3 players over the last 3 games, Derik Queen, Carlo Makovich, Jose Alvarado. Your bench. And your bench cannot be your best. The out of the 240 total minutes you have every night, right now, Queen, Makovich, and Alvarado only account for 17.7% of the total minutes over these last 3 games. Those 3 guys are only getting 17% of the minutes, under 18% of the minutes on a nightly basis, though all of them have been playing well over the last 3 games. And I'm not talking about a little bit. We're talking Derik Queen is a plus 22.1 over the last 3 games. Carlo Makovich, a plus 17.6. Jose Alvarado, a plus 8.6. Now, when you look at who the worst players have been over the last 3 games, there should be no surprise. Kevon Looney, who has not looked good at all since coming back from injury, but is still getting 16 minutes a night. He is a negative 58.5 right now. A negative 58.5. Okay? And then when you look at Jeremiah Fears, the reason that his minutes are so inconsistent, we've talked about this, 18 years old, guard learning, and this is why I've not been pro him starting. I think, again, we know how good his offensive ceiling is, and he's making shots, and we'll talk about that. But defensively, he's a minus 21.3 in just 24 minutes. And last night, though he probably should have gotten some second half playing time, he was a negative with all groups. He was one of the few players who was negative no matter who you played him with, because defensively, it's just such a problem for him. Jordan Poole, minus 18.3 in 28 minutes. Okay? Minus 18.3 in 20 minutes. Those guys, on the other hand, are getting 60 minutes a night, 65 minutes a night almost 60 minutes a night from those 3 players. So they're playing about 28% of the minutes each night. So what you're seeing is that the lineups, again, are the biggest hindrance to this team. You have the flaws. You're not great rebounding. You know all these things. You know where they stand in points of the paint. They're not good there. You know that they're not good in offensive rating, still 27th in the league. Even though they've improved the last 3 games to 18th, they're still 27th overall, still 29th in defensive rating, still 27th in net rating, still 23rd in rebound percentage. All those things have not improved overall. So lineups are the only way you can stay competitive. And you know the 2 things you have to do. The number 1 and number 2 things do when you are not a great defensive team. Number 1, you got to be efficient on offense, and the Pelicans are not. They're not getting the ball to people in the right positions. The guys who are shooting it well in some cases, but the people who are taking the most of your shots are not shooting it well, particularly from 2-point range. The Pelicans are the worst team in the league at mid-range shots. The Pelicans are one of the worst teams in the league at finishing at the rim. Zion Williamson, in the games that he has played, is shooting the lowest percentage at the rim of his career. So if you're not going to be efficient, what else do you have to do? You got to rebound the ball well. You're playing Kevon Looney, who has not rebounded well. You're limiting the minutes of Yves Missi, who's been your best rebounder. You're limiting the minutes of Derik Queen, who at 6'10 has shown that and had 7 rebounds in one quarter last night. He's not getting those minutes. I'm not saying you got to run the offense through Derik Queen, but he should be getting some consistent minutes, especially considering the fact of what you paid for that man. So no, Zion versus Spurs does not tilt those stats. Zion has not shot well in any across the board all season. Zion has not shot the ball well all season long. That one Spurs game did not destroy all of it. He still just has not looked great. And then you see the hamstring thing, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But overall, like I said, that one win doesn't change the fundamental issues for this team. I'm gonna say this. I'm not worried about Zion developing the jump shot. I mean, we saw that he has pulled it out at different points during the season. He shot the fadeaway and those types of things. We've seen it a little bit, but that's not the bigger problem for Zion. The problem is the offense. The problem is the offense. There are players who are limited, right? There are great players who are limited in some way. But what do you do as a head coach? The responsibility of the head coach is to create situations for you to get into the positions that you thrive. Like when we saw Herb Jones in those first 3 games looking completely lost, right? The problem then was very clear. Herb Jones shouldn't have been the point guard. Willie Green insisted on playing Herb at the point guard spot in those first few games, and things looked terrible. He wasn't in the position that he needed to be. He could not help the offense, and his shot looked bad. Okay, now what have you seen out of Herb the last 3 games? He's shooting 69% from 3 over the last 3 games on 4 attempts. Jose Alvarado shooting 50% from 3. What up, Mike? Michael Morgan in the house with the super chat. Appreciate you. Trey Murphy over the last 3 games has found his shot. 10 attempts per game. He's 15 out of 30 over his last 3 games. And then you take Jeremiah Fears, who we all know was not a three-point shooter when he came in this league, a guy who was shooting below 30% in college at the 3. He's shooting 46% over his last 3 games. Not on a high volume, still 5 attempts per game. So when you look at these lineups, and I'm going to talk about these, this is where you see how lineup construction is really messing up. Your 5-man lineups, your best 5-man lineups so far this season. And look how limited the minutes there are for your best lineups and then your worst. I don't disagree with you, Smoke, but the lineup is a bigger problem. I don't disagree with you that a shot doesn't help. But I'm saying it's not the reason that the offense is so bad right now, because we've seen the offense thrive, for Zion. But these are your best 5-man lineups, and look how few minutes that they've played this season. The number one group of regular players: Poole, Saddiq Bey, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and Yves Missi. They played 5 minutes together over one game, and they are plus 88.3. Jordan Poole, Saddiq Bey, Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, Derik Queen, plus 50 in 5 minutes over 2 games. Zion, Poole, Bey, Alvarado, Queen, another good lineup for Derik Queen, plus 36.8 in 9 minutes. 9 minutes. That's all he's gotten with that group. Jordan Poole, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, Derik Queen. Again, another Queen lineup, plus 23.3 in 5 minutes over 2 games. Your starting lineup that has been your best starting lineup: Zion, Jones, Fears, Murphy, and Missi, plus 14.4 in 30 minutes over 3 games. But they've only played 30 minutes as a starting lineup in the 3 games that they were together. Why are you not keeping that group together more if it's being that successful? They're your starters. They're your starters. And yes, I agree with you, E. For Queen, in those second lineups, if Queen is going to be on the floor in the middle, there should be opportunities, because that's what he does well, right? You put players in position to do what you do well. Should he dominate the offense on every possession with the starters? No, but you should give him the opportunity to do what he does well. He's a rookie. right? There are things he's going to fail at, but if you see something that he's successful at, you go back to it. And the Pelicans do not go back to the things that they do well. It doesn't matter. Like, I know the coaching staff looks at all the numbers, but Willie Green ultimately makes the decision, right? That's the problem, is ultimately Willie Green makes the decision. So when you look at the worst lineups, he's using them plenty. Zion, Poole, Bay, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, that lineup that he started a couple times, minus 21.5. He's played them in multiple games. Jordan, all your worst lineups, I'll say this. All your worst lineups defensively feature Jordan Poole. And that's just the fact of the matter. And you look at this right now, and Jordan Poole and Willie Green, it's that relationship is already broken. And I'm not going to say for sure why Jordan Poole is not playing particularly well. That relationship is broken. Jordan Poole and Willie Green, no, that ain't working. And I agree with you, Smoke. Jose absolutely should start. Jose absolutely should be the starter at point guard. And this is why. Not that Jose should be playing 30-plus minutes like he did last night. You ride him out when he's hot, cool. But I'll say this. The best thing, because Jordan Fear's worst situation is on the defensive end. He is not a good defender. You've seen the Pelicans. It's like a runway defensively. But when he and Poole are on the floor in particular, teams are just getting a full-on running head start at the rim. So you can't play those two together, right? And no, Poole is not a point guard. And I don't know why the Pelicans, again, thought that you could go into this season without a veteran point guard to run this offense. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you keep doing this, putting people in the wrong position? Jeremiah Fears didn't come in as a natural playmaker. He came in as a scorer. And we've seen the best thing he's doing right now is scoring the basketball. He's had some games where he's been decent with his assists. He had a game with 7 assists and no turnovers. He had another game with 7 assists and 1 turnover. But that has not been the norm over these first 7 games, and nor will it be over the course of a season. He's 19 years old. I'm not going to punish him or Queen for the mistakes that they make at this point, unless they're mistakes of negligence. And I wouldn't say any of their mistakes have been those. I think they're mistakes of being young. But this Poole thing is not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not to the benefit of Jordan Poole. And like, there are people who go think that I just hate on Jordan Poole, but I told you, this is what I told you in the offseason. I said Jordan Poole is very talented. But this situation and this team, the way the offense runs, there's not a lot of movement. They're not going to put the ball in his hands enough for him to control the basketball. And defensively, he's a problem. All 3 of those things have happened, right? All 3 of those things. He's not a point guard. He's not getting the kind of shots that he wants. He's forcing them because he's not getting the shots that he wants. He's taking threes from 5 and 6 feet behind the line in transition when there's no reason to take those shots. And I think part of it is he is so out of rhythm and so disconnected from Willie Green that he's like, I got to chuck when I get in because I may not get another chance when you're only playing 20-plus minutes. And he's used to, he came here to be a starter. He came to play 30 minutes. And that's just not happening. So when you look at this team, yeah, I'll say that. I agree with you, E. Yeah, they looked their best when the ball was moving and people moved without the basketball. That has been the Pelicans' problem consistently. They still don't move. They still don't run. Their pace is still slow. They're still one of the slowest teams in the NBA. And you look at that roster, and the only thing it's supposed to be doing is running. It'd be one thing if this team was losing while running. I don't know how I see you say he played 25 minutes in Washington. Yeah, he didn't play tons of minutes in Washington, but he came to New Orleans to play 30 minutes. He didn't come to New Orleans to play 25 minutes is what I'm saying. You're saying, like, he didn't play a ton of minutes because Washington wasn't trying to win anything. But everything, we'll go to Zion's injury and then we'll go back to these Willie, because there's just so many Willie Green comments. But yeah, I think ultimately, as you look at this is not a well-constructed team. This is not a team that will ultimately, like, even if they get back into it and make a chase for the play-in, What confidence do you have that ultimately this will work? The other big story, of course, is Zion Williamson's injury, getting evaluated in 7 to 10 days, and how many times have we all heard that before? 7 to 10, 7 to 10, 7 to 10, or it's either 7 to 10 or 2 weeks. And yeah, Mike, I agree with you. It's coaching and roster construction. Like when people talk about this team, you think it's one or the other. You can fire Willie Green. It's going to be a better team. May play slightly better, but the holes are the holes. And one of those big holes is Zion Williamson. And I said, give him one more chance. You take the chance on talent. I said, take the chance on talent. And yeah, it is time. It's time. And it's not all on Zion, but I said this season was all about Zion. It was absolutely all about Zion. And now, for the fourth straight season, we're dealing with Zion's hamstring injuries. And as you know, hamstring injuries, they're not going away, right? You once you've got a hamstring injury, you're dealing with it constantly. And we've seen this time and time again. Everything. It's like a racehorse. It's like a racehorse. And do I think Zion's injury is legit? Who knows anymore, right? Who knows anymore? Do I think competitively that he is the kind of person who asks out if he really thinks he's hurt? I don't think so, but I think maybe his threshold or his fear, whatever it is, I don't want to psychoanalyze him too much. But the way I look at this team now, the way I look at this team now in light of this injury, and I think it'll last, is that it's time to tear it up. You've seen enough in these 7 games for me to say, okay, I like what Jeremiah Fears has. I think I look at him and get more into the rookies, but I like what the young players are giving me. I can have a decent core of young players, and I can have some, I have some veterans who are not on long contracts, like a Sadiq Bey, who has played okay, not great, but okay. Doesn't make bad basketball decisions, but hasn't played great. I've had some good games, but it hasn't played great. Nobody on this team has played great, so I'm not going to, give that out to anybody. But for this team to really pick an identity, it has to decide, is this the future or the present? Thank you again, Mike. Are you playing for the future or the present? Because you're not playing for the present now. That's over. A 1-6 start tells you that the present is over. You're not, no team has started 0-6 and made the playoffs. And you put everything on the playoffs. And no, this whole thing, this Joe Dumars situation, and we talked about this in the offseason. Everybody, we all gave him the opportunity, right? But it's clear now that Joe Dumars lied. It's clear he lied. I asked him the question straight up. I asked him the question. I said, are you under a mandate to keep Willie Green? He said no. Here we are. What coach wouldn't be fired after the start that Willie Green had? You set the record for the fastest team to get blown out by 33 times. You have as many 30-point losses as the entire NBA this year. You're the worst defensive team in the league. You're one of the worst offensive teams in the league. Your team has quit on multiple occasions. And you're telling me that you sent this man back out? And you have a GM who mortgaged the future to get Derik Queen. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of player that Derik Queen turns out to be. I think he could be a very good player. I'm not going to say Jokic or DeMarcus Cousins yet. I think that's unfair to that young man in year 1 to decide that for his future. But the price that you gave, the price that you paid, and you're not going to make the playoffs this year, you got to really start looking around at these deals, because guys are going to start asking out. Trey Murphy doesn't want to lose like this. Herb Jones doesn't want to lose like this. They don't want to be poorly coached into their primes of their careers. So what do? If you want to start building for the future, it's time for the Pelicans to look at the Oklahoma City plan. And I'm not talking about tanking. I'm talking about building your team the right way. It didn't take Oklahoma City 10 years to do this. They certainly got lucky. Look, there's always luck when it comes to picking players, and they've done a phenomenal job, but they are prepared. They are prepared. Luck goes to the prepared, right? You've heard that saying. Luck goes to the prepared. The Pelicans never seem prepared. They never seem prepared for what's happening or what's going to happen. And so you have Joe Dumars, who puts Willie Green back on that thing where the team has clearly turned him out. The team clearly doesn't want to hear what he has to say. They are not playing for Willie Green. Last night's win was despite Willie Green and not because of him. If it was up to Willie, they would have lost that game. And for David Griffin to go back and lose his job instead of Willie Green, when they both should have gotten fired at the same time. For Griffin to go to management, say, fire Willie Green, and him take the choice of a guy having the second worst season in the history of the franchise over the guy that you brought in to build the franchise. Both of them should have been gone. And then you've made the same mistake twice. Right? You made the same mistake twice. You did it with Alvin Gentry, and then you did it again with Willie Green. You did not let the executive pick the coach. And then you didn't even do a search for the executive. So all of these things, Willie Green status, Zion Williamson status, Joe Dumars status, Gail Benson status, when you see more and more reports, and this keeps happening, we talked about this in the offseason, is that when the entire NBA world is sitting here and saying that New Orleans is the most likely franchise to move, that they're headed to Seattle, and all these things, that people keep talking about attendance when the Pelicans have never been in the bottom 5 in attendance in the league. When Indiana had worse attendance than the Pelicans last season. But this is telling you, when people keep talking about these things, when people keep doing, they are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you keep doing this, what they are telling you is what they want to see, right? And they have decided that New Orleans is a target. New Orleans is a target. Now, if you're Gail Benson, you know what the sale prices are for this franchise. Worth what, $4 billion now? So if you're the Pelicans and you're thinking about the future, it's time to tear this thing down. You have young building blocks. You have young building blocks to start building a future team. You've got what looks like a potential franchise player in Jeremiah Fears. A lot of work to be done, but looks like a potential franchise type player. Derik Queen looks like a solid, maybe a 1B or a number or strong 2 at this stage. We'll see what he does and how he improves. But he the forcefulness, he doesn't have the forcefulness of personality that you'd expect out of a guy natural number 1. But certainly confident in his play and talented. So you got those two guys. You got Yves Missi, who came back and has been better this year than he is last year, though Willie Green again continues to mess with his minutes. You have Carlo Makovich, who has not gotten enough minutes. And though I don't think Carlo is a starter, but you see what Carlo does that's different than any big on the roster. Carlo runs fast, he jumps higher, and he can shoot 1 or 3. So, if you're looking at this team now, and yeah, I'd say, with Trey and Herb, I think that you do want to kind of wait till the offseason and get a better deal if you're going to trade them. But I think that you need to understand that's what you're going to do. You can't keep trying to reform this. A house built on a bad foundation will still fall apart. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do to keep reconfiguring the way it looks. If the foundation is bad, it's all going to fall apart. And so it's time. You have the young players. You got a 4, 5. You got Micah Peavy. There's your 5th. That's 5 players to start building around. Let's say you get one first. We'll be conservative. You get 1 first rounder for Trey. If you fire the coach, everything will change. First of all, the name's got 2 B's. Look, it's right there on the screen, 2 B's. Stop giving me 1. No, Atlanta got the pick that they get. If you get more picks, it'll be other teams. So no, you don't lose your pick if you get more picks. Atlanta has their pick for next year. That lottery pick, that's the one. If you're getting it, you're getting somebody else's pick if you're trading these guys in the offseason. So you're not worried about the pick. If you fire the coach, everything does not change. It doesn't happen in the NBA that teams change their coach and they get better in during the regular season. It doesn't happen. The last 6 times that a team fired their coach early in the season, all those teams did poorly. No, the Hawks don't have the option. They have the Pelicans pick for next year. No, the trade one was for the other picks. For the other pick, the Milwaukee pick was a swap, and they gave that one gave it back to Indiana. Remember in that trade, so they gave that swap with Milwaukee back to Indiana. But yeah, I mean, you have a young team that you can start looking at. If you get a first for Trey, if you get a first for Herb, and again, this is being conservative. There are teams that might give up more than that, but if you get and you get some conditional picks, you get some conditional picks for some of these other guys. Look, Jordan Hawkins just got to go. You just cut Jordan Hawkins loose. But there's nobody else on this. Look, Jordan Poole, like I said, find him. There's a franchise that will take him. Absolutely, because again, if you put him in the right position and the right offense, he can do what he does well, which is score. This is not the offense or the team for him. And just because you say that does not an indictment of him as a player completely. It just says it's not working here. So if you get him off get his contract off, you get rid of DeJounte for whatever you can get. You get those guys out of here and you build around those 5. You take a hit for a couple, but Pelicans fans have taken a hit for no reason. The worst thing is that the Pelicans have only truly been bad, like awful, a couple times in franchise history. They have done this act to you year after year, where they tease you and make you think they're on the verge of something. And that seems to be the goal of this franchise, is to keep you coming back. You know, there used to be this talk about Pete Rozelle, who was the commissioner of the NFL for a long time. And Pete Rozelle used to say that his dream season was where every team in the NFL went 8-8. So that was his dream. Because if that's the case, everybody's tuned into the last week of the season, hoping their team can get to the playoffs. And I think that's the Pelicans' approach. And it's not the first time an owner has done this. You know, people have compared Gail Benson to Donald Sterling, and Donald Sterling did this for 30 years, where winning wasn't important because you made money. Part of the reason, and Shamit Dua talked about this, part of the reason that David Griffin isn't around because he asked Pelicans to spend money. They're not spending any money anymore. Not any more than they have to. And Gail Benson won't have 2 teams rebuilding at once. So they're just going to be 2 bad teams at once? Because you can't just keep being bad. You're either rebuilding, you're winning, or you're maintaining. So which of the 3 are the Pelicans in? Because they're not winning, they're not maintaining anything. So you have to be in a rebuild. And that's the problem, is that they have never committed. Neither the Saints nor the Pelicans have ever committed to doing the job right. When they got Anthony Davis, the Pelicans refused to do the job right. They wanted to try to have it both ways. We got this rookie, we're going to put all these guys around here. It's not all. The roster doesn't fit, man. The roster doesn't fit. It doesn't matter who the coach is. You can't put all these dudes who can't play defense on the same court together. You can't put this team out there that cannot rebound. Okay? The Pels getting to play and slowly rebuild through the draft. That's not going to happen. What in history? This is the thing that gets me. And I'm not going to tell people how to be a fan. There are fans who right now think this team is going to go 76-6. Cool. If that's what you think, great. There are fans who think that this team will never win another game. If that's what you think, cool. I'm not here to legislate people's fandom. But we got to be honest too. We got to be honest. The Pelicans good enough to play for the play-in and slowly rebuild. Rebuild how? You are not financially able to do that. They are not in a financial position to slowly rebuild anything. And you have players whose careers are at the point where they have to start making business decisions. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones getting to be 26 years old soon. The only thing you can do is a major overhaul. And the two times that the Pelicans rebounded during seasons where they got off to bad starts, those two times took major overhauls, right? The 36 win season where the Pelicans started off 1-12, whatever, under Willie's first year. To win 36 games, what they have to do? They had to go make a major trade and give up Josh Hart and all that and get CJ McCollum. The other time when they were trying to make the playoffs, they won 48 games and ended up in 6th spot. They had to make the deal for Nikola Mirotic right before the deadline and make some other moves to get that team good enough to make the playoffs, and had to go on a record winning streak in order to get that 6th spot. Those players are not available to the Pelicans. My brother, I'm gonna say that I'm an atheist, but my brother in Christ, I'm not too down on them. There are players on this team that I really like, and I have been effusive in my praise for them. The coach ain't everything. The coach is not everything. The coach is a good part of it. Make no mistake. Willie Green should not be the head coach of Willie Green should not be the head coach of any basketball team. But players are the players. The players are the players. And I did say I think that they can win tonight. I already said that, E. At the top of the show, I said this is the kind of game that they can win. Absolutely. But if you don't have an owner committed to winning, if you don't have a general manager who knows what he's doing, if you don't have a coach who has a game plan, and if you don't have players who fit together properly, you're never going to win. You're never going to win. And the Pelicans' goal cannot be mediocre. The roster has holes, but this roster is at 1-6 bad. You are what your record says you are. You can't they can't defend. They cannot defend, and that has nothing to do with the coach. When you don't get back in transition, that has nothing to do with the coach. That's pride. When you don't stay in front of your man, that has nothing to do with coach. That's pride. When you don't rebound, that has nothing to do with the coach. That's effort. You built a team of guys who can't defend. And if you want to run, but you can't run if you can't rebound, you can't run if you're always watching people take the ball out of the basket. The Pelicans need to start tearing this thing down. Because what is your best case scenario this year? That they get to the play-in? To get to the play-in, that's not all coaching, man. I don't know where y'all get this, that it's all effort is not about coaching. Effort is not about coaching. Effort is about pride. You plan for yourself ultimately. It's never happened. Y'all keep doing this. And y'all keep, the coach. Show me when it happens. Show me when it's ever happened. Someone cite for me, because I can cite chapter and verse. Someone cite for me. Someone cite for me where it's happened. Someone tell me. Because you can be as optimistic as one, but let's be realistic. No. The Rockets didn't do it. You going back to the McHale Rockets? They weren't this bad. That's where you have to go back to, where coach got fired early in the season. The Rockets, they went 41-41 after they fired. They weren't this bad. They were 7-11 when McHale got fired. And that was a team that had way more talent and veterans than this team does. The lineups are a big problem. Absolutely. We went through that. I showed all that. The lineups are a terrible part of this. But you can't line up this thing together when the lineups don't fit. The lineups don't fit. There's no group that you can put on the floor that there's not a giant hole in the roster. There's no five-man group that over a consistent stretch is going to play good defense. This is a team that can't outscore teams in transition, a team that can't outscore teams in the paint, a team that can't. The roster ain't right. You can change all these things. You can change the coach. You can change the colors. You can change anything. But if you don't want it, and these guys don't want it together, like this team does not want to be together. Somebody said that they're selfish. I don't know if it's selfishness, but it certainly ain't working. Green Bay ain't gonna win. The Clippers are still the Clippers. They may have changed their colors. It's still the Clippers. They won more games than the Pelicans. The Grizzlies have changed jerseys a bunch of times. Teams like it ain't the name that's holding. It ain't the uniforms that's holding the Pelicans back. This has been 25 years of this now. 25 years. And you're getting excited because they played kind of well for a quarter against the Charlotte Hornets. That's what we're doing. And anybody who says you give a good effort as a coach, if you got a better coach, if that's the kind of player you are, I don't want you. If that's the kind of player you are, you'll never win. If you need a coach to tell you to play hard, if you can only play hard because you like your coach, then you're not going to win a championship either. There have been a lot of good coaches who haven't won games though, who didn't win a championship but won a lot of games. It's usually because players have pride. The Pelicans are broken. I said this is a systemic failure. The Pelicans are broken. The Pelicans are broken. No, I would not do Zion for Ja. You just created one problem for it. You cannot. Veterans are not going to save this team. Adding more stars is not going to help this team because you cannot fix the two problems. There's no point guard available to you out there to start while Jeremiah Fears gets better. And there's no center for you out there. Pelicans have no identity. The franchise has no identity. There are no the guys who win. The guys who win. It is the young players are not different who are winners. The young players who come in who are winners, they're not different. I've been around enough of these guys. I've called college basketball games for the last 5 years. I've seen those kids come and go. I talked to them. I saw Zion James, who plays for the Hornets now. With Zion James. And that young man, went from Tulane to Duke to now he's starting for the Hornets. Every time I talked to him, he was impressive. When you look at Jeremiah Fears looked like a young man that needs to be motivated. Jeremiah Fears comes in every day thinking he's the best player on this team. Whether he is or he isn't, Jeremiah Fears thinks he's going to be the best player on this team. He thinks he's going to be the best point guard in the NBA. Coach or no coach. Where's your pride? And I think they can win tonight. Again, I said this. This is the perfect opportunity for them to win back-to-back games because Dallas is weak at the same things the Pelicans are good at. I think Jeremiah Fears is showing you franchise player type talent. He is showing you that franchise player type talent. I think Derik Queen, again, the personality is the one thing that keeps me from thinking that Derik Queen is a number one. That doesn't mean he can't be a number two, a number 1B, or an all-star. I'm not saying those things are off the table. Wrong coach, Fears. Jordan Hawkins was never good. I don't know where y'all keep getting this idea that Jordan Hawkins did not shoot well in college. Jordan Hawkins has not shot well in the NBA. He couldn't dribble in college. He can't dribble now. He couldn't defend in college. Can't defend now. Where do y'all get this idea? Where do y'all get this idea that Jordan Hawkins was ever good? Because he had a couple of games. I've done this before. You can go back and look. Jordan Hawkins has never put a solid month together in his career. It's hard for him to put 4 or 5 games. It's hard to put. Oh, he's put up big numbers against the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, There are 82 games. There's 30 teams in the league, and you shouting out that Jordan Hawkins has some big numbers against the Dallas Mavericks? Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Let's be real. Again, there are good players. I don't care how confident you are, you ain't got no game. This summer, didn't I say that CP3 that the Pelicans should reached out to CP3? I said that. I said that. But Jordan Hawkins shouldn't have been on this roster for 2 years. For 2 years, Jordan Hawkins shouldn't have been on this roster. Pelicans are broken. And no matter what happens this season, y'all can say, oh, it's too early. The Saints season is half over, right? You think the Saints gonna make the playoffs? Saints gonna make the playoffs? No. And I've seen this before. This is the one I always cite, and you can go look it up again. The year after the 49-win season. First 3 games, Pelicans won all 3. They came back to New Orleans. They played the Clippers. They won that game. I walked into the press room. They won 36 games, E. They won 36 games the year that they made those playoffs. That's not normal. You taking the exception and trying to make it the rule. It don't work that way. The exception proves the rule. The exception is not the rule. Okay? The exception is not the rule. Willie made a team after. I just went through this. Do y'all? I swear, this is the thing that frustrates me. I say these things very clearly. Man, I told you, you can be hopeful, but you got to be honest. Be surprised when they do well. Be happy that they do well. Be happy. But don't be flagrant in thinking that they're gonna do things that are not normal. Like the Pelicans would have to buck historical trends that have never happened in the NBA in order to make the playoffs at this point. And what about the New Orleans Pelicans? This franchise, this team, this coach, this organization, what tells you that this is the team to buck 75 years of NBA history? The New Orleans Pelicans? This is a failure. This is a failure. Zion got to. You got to start thinking and do it the rest of the score. Buffer here. Runs happen, injuries happen on other teams. Sure, they do. So, okay. Like, what does that matter? I mean, what am I mean about? I'm speaking facts. I'm not mean. I love basketball. And what you're not getting is quality basketball. And you're paying for it. You show up and you want quality basketball, and they're not giving it to you. And y'all want to put it on one person. Willie Green ain't no magic bullet. You can get rid of Willie Green and the problems will still be there. You still have a star that can't stay on the court. You still have a roster that doesn't fit. You don't have enough ball handling. You don't have enough defense. You don't have enough rebounding. You don't have enough players who can operate without the basketball. And you don't have an offense that helps them. Because the Pelicans have no consistent identity. And we've talked about this over and over again. The teams that they lose to, that they have gotten beaten by, do the same thing every night. They play the exact same way every night. Oklahoma City, like you said, Oklahoma City's got injuries. They're still winning. They play without Chet. They play without Lou Dort. They play without this guy. They play without that guy, and they still win. You deserve better, man. You deserve better. Right? Yeah, Willie got to go. That's not even a discussion at this point. Willie got to go. Like, what's the conversation there? There's no debating that Willie Green has to go. But to think that just firing Willie Green is going to turn this team around, that's just not realistic. You have a top to bottom problem here. And you have an ownership group that has decided that coaching does not really matter, that they are happier with relationships than production. They did this with Alvin Gentry. They did this. Now they're doing it with Willie Green. They did it with Dennis Allen over on the Saints side. Willie Green might be getting paid less than some team trainers, right? He's certainly getting paid less than, I know Willie Green's making less than the full contract that DeAndre Jordan got. So if your coach is, your coach is not giving you anything of value and he's cheap and he's not going to complain. He's not going to complain. And if David Griffin asked this team to spend money, and you could, again, Griff failed at his job. He ultimately fails. But Griff asked for money to fix this thing, and nobody wanted to commit to fixing it. Willie Green is just one symptom. Like if you're sick, right? You got a cold and you sneeze. Just putting a tissue under your nose is not going to solve the problem. Right? You might have a fever, you might got a headache. You got to deal with all those symptoms before you can get rid of your cold. Willie Green is just a sneeze, man. Like you got to deal with the fever, you got to deal with the body aches, you got to deal with all those things, and the Pelicans got it all. Rob said Willie making $800,000 after taxes and loves the Lord's Gale never let them go. What is this team and what are they going to be? They may put together a stretch, but again, history tells us it won't be long. Willie Green has never won more than 7 games in a row in his career. Got a lot of long losing streaks, never won more than 7 games in a row. So what is the best with this stage? If the Pelicans played play what kind of ball to the rest of the season, you figure you got to win at least 42 games, right? You got to win at least 42 games to even think about being a legitimate playoff team in the West. Portland's better than you. Dallas is going to figure something out when Kyrie gets back and they get healthy. I don't know if they're not going to be a great team, but they're not going to be a walkover either. What's your goal? What's your outcome? And I don't believe a team has to win a championship every year to be a successful team, to have a successful year. But the goal this year, let's not pretend, let's not write this out. What was my outlook in the preseason? I said I thought that if everything went right, then I thought they could win 43. If everything went right, I said they were more closely to a 36 win team. And you can check this. I said it over and over again, all off season. I said 36 wins was the ceiling, unless everything went right, and it's not going right. Develop these. Finally, just stop the recycling and trying to fix something that's not fixable. Build around those young players. You have something good, despite your inability to do this job well. You have something good. You got Jeremiah Fears, you got Derik Queen, you've got Yves Missi, you have a young core to start developing. You need the right coach. You need the right front office. You need the right decisions. Joe Dumars put it on the line when he made that trade. When he traded Derik Queen, he put this season on the line. He said like whether he said it explicitly or not, it's playoffs or bust. If they fire him, they start winning. Props. They win. You think they're gonna win more than 36 with a new coach? What props? What props? They ain't winning no championship. They ain't win no playoffs. Just because even if they turn it around and get to the play-in, that's not a successful season. Like what are your standards here? What do you want this year? Right? What do you want? What was the outcome that you came into the season with? To just be kind of competitive? That's not why y'all came back for this season. Did any of you come to this season thinking that if they just are competitive, that's good enough? You won 21 games last year. We won 21 games last year. And I said if you could double that, that would be a huge accomplishment this year. 50 games ain't on no table, man. What are you crazy? 50 games on the table. What table? What table? What table is that? Show me that table. Come on, man. Come on, man. Like, y'all really cannot believe this is a 50-win team. You cannot believe this is a 50-win team. Look at the 50-win teams in this league, and are they constructed this poorly? I told you the Pelicans were in a giant middle, right? I said they were in the giant middle. I said from 7 to 13, everything was going to be a jumble in the West. Everything. And to think that this team was ever going to challenge for 50 games, that's delusional. At its best, it's never won 50 games in franchise history. And you telling me that this was going to be the team to win 50 games? And I'm the negative one? Man, I'm being realistic here. If they were good, I tell you they were good. But they're not good. We all love basketball too much to be settling for this, to be accepting this. There are good other teams that go backwards. Who? Who's going backwards enough for the Pelicans? Who's going backwards like that? Who in the West? Dallas is going backwards because they hurt. Who else in the West went backwards? Who else in the West is going backwards? Didn't say it was a 20-win team. I swear. People do not listen. I said it was a 36-win team, and if everything went well, it could be a 43-win team. That's what I said. And I swear people do not listen. No one listens. Not no one. Too many people don't listen. They hear what they want to hear. If I say Jordan Poole's not playing well, I hate Jordan Poole. If I say coaching doesn't solve everything, then I'm not being hard enough on Willie Green. If I say the players are a big part of the problem, then I'm not being hard enough on Willie Green. Man, I can't please everybody. I'm trying to give the best analysis I can give. And you watch this team night in and night out. Are you proud of the way that they play? Are you proud of the way that they perform individually? Individually. This is not a great basketball team. It's not a good basketball team. It is a mediocre basketball team. And if that's what you find with, if you think mediocre is okay, cool. Cool. If you think mediocre is cool, I can't argue with that. But there are foundational issues with this franchise. We 2 games out the Hey, brother, I love you, man. Just human being to human being. I love you, bro. But what are you doing? 2 game 2 games out the play. Really? That's what we doing? That's what's hot in the streets right now? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, 99 dog. I didn't understand what you said. My bad, brother. My bad. Hey, text sometimes things don't always come across as they should be. You know what I'm saying? I misinterpret you. This get Herb off the court. Herb shooting the 3 better than anybody else on the team. He's still amongst the starters. The only starter who's rated higher than Herb right now is Zion. And get Herb off the floor. He's shooting like 50% from 3 this season. You gonna get Herb off the floor. It's not Herb's problem. It is a poorly constructed roster. And a lot of these players would do better somewhere else, unfortunately, because the way the system doesn't work for them here. If you're talking about lineups, I'm gonna do this before I go. If you say which starting lineup, I would start Jose Alvarado in the first and third, but Jeremiah Fears would get the majority of the minutes. But I think the projected win total for this team before the year was 31 and a half. 31 and a half. But I would definitely start Jose because he sets the tone. Move from 15 to 14. All right. Okay. That sets the tone. I think at the 2, you go with the rest of that lineup as we talked about, that 5-man group where the only thing that you change out is Fears for Jose Alvarado. You change that group out, you give Fears the opportunity to come off the bench and be aggressive as a scorer, which he has been, then I think that this team can play better. I think if you get Carlo Makovich and Derik Queen together, those two together, I think that that could be a good mix on the bench. Messi and Queen have played good minutes together this season. I think you can remember that was the concern. Messi, Queen and Zion have been very good when they're on the floor together. There are tandems that work. The problem is there's not a 5-man group over consistent minutes that's worked. And again, a big part of that is Willie, but the other part is that this is not a well-constructed roster. And I didn't just start saying that. I said that during the offseason. But we'll see what tonight. And again, I think they can win tonight for the reasons that I talked about earlier. The front court, very injured for Dallas. They have not shot the ball well all season long. You've got a lot of guys who can make mistakes. D'Angelo Russell certainly can be a mistake-prone player. Cooper Flagg can make mistakes as a rookie. Klay Thompson is having the worst year of his life, but at least he got Meg Thee Stallion, right? But everything else for the Dallas Mavericks isn't particularly great, and the Pelicans have played pretty good against Dallas over the years. They've had some terrible losses when Luka was on the court, but overall they've played Dallas pretty well. They could win tonight. Don't mean they're good. That's why it's called smoke and mirrors, folks. Smoke and mirrors. A win does not change who you are. What are you going to be over the long haul? And this is going to be a mediocre team over the long haul. You've got to fix this roster. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that has bothered me for years now. The player struggles as bad because players get out of slumps against them. That part, every time you've seen coaches for the Pelicans, what they say, like, man, that's a good team over there, right? That's a good team. They got NBA players over there, right? Why is it that you're always the team that's on the receiving end of another team's best effort? Why is it that the Pelicans are always the team that other teams get well against? Everybody's homecoming is against the New Orleans Pelicans. But hey, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think that they're gonna turn it around. I don't think you can. But we shall see. And if I'm wrong, I'll stand up here and I will say I was wrong. I've done it in the past. I'm not scared of being wrong. But what I'm looking at, I don't see a great future for it. I'm gonna let y'all enjoy the game tonight. Well, I hope you enjoy the game tonight. I hope that it goes well for you. Okay. I hope that it goes well. I never wish ill on anybody. There are a lot of players on that team that I do like and that I have decent relationships with. But for fans, I think you deserve better than this. Zion wouldn't be getting injured if we hadn't tried so hard to score for 7 years. For 7 years, Lane. For 7 years, Zion has been getting injured because he's trying to score. For 4 straight years, dealing with the same hamstring injury because he's trying to score. Man, come on. What are we doing? And I'm gonna ask y'all again. Look, you see this right here at the bottom of the screen? It says GRUBB. See, there's two of them right there. Two of them. Stop putting one. I ain't gonna misspell none of y'all names. Stop misspelling mine. All right. Like I said, what year he played the most, we just saw it 2 years ago, the 49-win year. That's when he played the most games. The other one was when he was with Stan. Those are the only 2 years he's played more than 50 games. What are you asking? What are you asking? I don't run from nothing. You can look, just because I'm in Michigan don't mean I'm hard to find. I don't run from nothing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Skinny and wrong. Sports, man. We ain't talking about geopolitics here. I'm talking about the economy. We're talking about sports. I'm fucking wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm not gonna hedge. I'm not gonna sit on the fence and lie to you. I'm gonna tell you what I think. There's wishful thinking, absolutely. There's hope and there's reality. I already said it. I will never take away somebody's hope. I will never take away somebody's optimism about being a fan. Be the fan that you want. Be the fan that you want to be. If you believe that this team, if you believe this team is going to be 76-6 at the end of the season, cool. I'm not going to fight you over that. It's basketball. And if I think that they're going to be a 36-win team and they end up winning 50 games, I'll tell you I was wrong. And I'll be glad for them because that would be a great thing that they won 50 games and they were that kind of team. But I'm going to just tell you what they is. Prove Grub wrong. Like I'm the only one who thinks it's a bad team. Okay, prove me wrong. Cool. Cool. If the franchise wants to make me the lightning rod, if y'all want to make me the lightning rod, prove Grub wrong. Cool. Cool. All right. That's gonna do it. We've done this for about an hour and 5 minutes, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I really do. I thank y'all for staying with me. I really appreciate the support, and I appreciate the differences of opinion. I'm thankful for those. It makes it more interesting. But this right here, you deserve better. You deserve better. Stop settling for people and teams that don't serve you. You are the consumer, right? If the Pelicans were a restaurant and every time you came to the restaurant, they spit in your food, they served you dirty dishes, and the silverware was filthy, are you going to keep excusing the restaurant because you like them? At some point, you're going to stop eating there. You're going to tell people, you're going to give it bad Yelp reviews. You're going to say, don't go here. Y'all have to hold that franchise accountable. You're in the city. Y'all hold that franchise. Yes, you are in a bad relationship because one side of the relationship, you love them. Do they love you? Do they love you? All the things that you've seen, no promotional calendar, no hashtag from the organization. You go on the Pelicans app tonight, they're not even showing you the shot charts anymore. The Pelicans are not even giving you the shot charts in the app. They don't even care. If they don't care, why do you? About them. You care about basketball, you care about the team winning, but why are you giving them that kind of support? Why are you giving that organization the kind of support when they don't care enough about you to do these kinds of things? They don't care enough about you to clean the arena up. Come on, man. Y'all going in there creaky building every night. Scoreboard doesn't work every game. Food that ain't great. They don't really care because you are a captive audience and they're glad you're going to keep coming back. New Orleanians, because of your personal pride in your city, they're doing it with the Saints and they're doing it with the Pelicans because they got you scared that they're going to try to move that team and you're going to keep showing up for games and supporting an organization that will not support you in the same way. You got to stop it. I'm not saying, boycott the Pelicans and whatnot, but you got to stop being satisfied with the product that they're giving you. Stop being satisfied with the product that they're giving you. Hold them accountable by being vocal and saying this is not good. If you got to boo, you boo. You boo the organization. You're not booing necessarily player. But if that's how you feel, this is the pros. This is not Little League. This is not high school. This is not college. I don't boo kids. But grown people, if you ain't doing it, and you got to be held responsible. I can rant. I'm not going to rant anymore. I'm sorry. But I really do appreciate every single person. 357 people watching. I hope we got plenty of likes. If we don't, hey, I'm going to keep doing this anyway. But I appreciate every single person who watches this show, who comments, who has something to say, positive or negative. I appreciate you. Just don't come at me personally. I don't appreciate that. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Watch the game. Hopefully things go better than they have been lately. Hopefully you get a back-to-back win, something to build off of, and maybe start to see some more growth out of these young players. But pay attention again to those lineups. Pay attention to those lineups. Pay attention to those lineups. Until the next time, I'm David Grubb. This has been the Post Up on Boot Crew Media. Y'all have a good one. Talk to you next week.